When I think about motherhood, it matured me quickly. It helped me to make decisions that were, you talk about purpose-driven life that's on your shirt. Purpose-driven living is what had to become the goal daily.
Purpose-driven living, that's the motto. Purpose-driven living, boy, that's the motto. If God orders my steps, then I'ma follow. We just steward the gifts that we borrow. Purpose-driven living.
I'm curious, I want to talk about, the Black Athlete Sister Circle, right? Because a lot of this is tied into your experience as an athlete, your experience, with your research interests, not seeing the journal articles or the research that that represented you. So tell us a little bit about, like, what are some of the things that you do? Because we hear, this sort of got started at JMU. But what are some of the things that you do? What are some of the challenges that you see with Black female student athletes?
So, research-wise, when we think about, some people might say, why is it important to do research? I want to start there. A lot of the research and publications that I do, people don't see them. Okay, everyday people just aren't on Google Scholar Googling like the research terms that are included in my article.
True.
So it's okay, people. Let me introduce you to what we do.
Let's go. Let's learn.
Right. There are thousands of people annually who are getting degrees. They have to write papers, right? The more we research, the more when they're in those learning experiences, when they're being primed to learn more about different populations and ways to understand, we have to have research that's representative of all these different groups. This is how we build a momentum around people being open and understanding of inclusion and equity and anti-racism versus those who don't care because they never engaged or read about or were introduced to these lived experiences of so many people. The Black Athlete Sister Circle is a place, it's a holistic development program that is totally positioned to encourage Black women student athletes at predominantly white campuses, right? And in institutions of higher education. And so it started at JMU, it was from my dissertation, and we have 7 themes associated with it. And in those themes, we talk about everything from how to have healthy relationships to balance as a student athlete, to academics, to think about academic balance to success, mentoring, what is it like being a Black woman student athlete, identity, campus climate, all these things really centered around you are more than just an athlete, right? You are more than just a student. You are more than just being a Black or a woman. And it's being unapologetically Black, unapologetically woman, unapologetically an athlete. And that they can coexist with all of those identities and be celebrated. Because Black women athletes are hyper visible and invisible. So what that means is if you think about basketball and women's basketball, you're probably going to think of a Black athlete majority of the time. I mean, it's always balanced, but most of the time you're gonna think of a Black woman athlete, right? Think about track and field, you're gonna think about a Black woman athlete. Well, if you think about lacrosse, there's Black women in lacrosse, right? But that's what that invisibility, hypervisibility is, right? There's some sports where they're overrepresented, so they're hypervisible. There are other sports where they're invisible, so they're not really seen. And I give this example, if you were to walk past a poster on a campus and see a picture of like a Division I basketball team, and you see Black women in it, you're just gonna walk past it like, okay, Black team. Okay, you walk past it with one Black woman who's an equestrian, you can be like, pause. Who is that, right? Like we start to see that, and that matters. And that's just one aspect, right? That because of that hypervisibility, invisibility, the experience of Black women athletes within a higher ed context is nothing more than a representative of what we see happening in professional sport, and also the Black woman experience in a domestic context within the US. And so that's why I study these women. It is important for me to make visible what is invisible. It is important for me to create space so that people can feel valued, encouraged, and loved. One of the things I love is I am given the privilege in multiple spaces to teach people how to love themselves and to also teach other people how to love others. And whether that's through education because of misinformation or some checking moments, right? Through training, whatever it might be, all those things can coexist. And so the Black Athlete Sister Circle is now on 4 campuses. We are at ODU, William and Mary, James Madison, and VCU. And each of those, I have 3 facilitators who I've had to expand the program. This is the first year we expanded it. It's in a virtual space. I have 3 other amazing Black women and former student athletes who each co-facilitate each of those campuses, and I lead the VCU one. The benefit is that I have been patient. This is like the little engine that could, y'all, okay? So we started with 3 people without a meeting space, right? We started with some where I would meet and no one would show up. When I came to VCU, I was still running the program at JMU because it was the only campus until 2019. Yes, until 2019. And so I was working at VCU, driving 2 hours one way to meet with Black women student athletes and then driving back, right? My daughter at the time was in kindergarten. We're just driving up and down the road once a month on a Wednesday from 7 to 8, even if that meant I'm going to buy food, even if that meant I'm going to make food, whatever it is, because I really believed in the space and other people started buying into it. Other people started seeing the value in it. And that's how I was able to expand the program. I do research about it. Every time somebody asks me, what do? I promote myself. I promote BASC. I'm saying this is great. That promotion has garnered attention around the country and also within the state. So when I now email people in the athletic department at these schools, they're like, oh, I heard about BASC. Now, BASC is a small program. This is not like 20, 30 people at a monthly meeting, because typically there are 20 or 30 Black women on the campus, right? And depending on the season, some people can't show up. But whether we have 3, 9, or 12 people who show up, or even one, we will create that space, because I am a firm believer, and my colleagues who support me, that that space is important and it's valuable and it matters. And so that's what I do. So that's about, that's really about BASC. And my vision is to continue to grow it. I already have one school who's going to be on board. We're going to start and have 7 places. I'm speaking it and I'm pursuing it. So I'm going to go and ask institutions.
Hi, at Lenore Coaching, we work with a wide variety of job seekers, including students, early career professionals, and experienced professionals, with services including job search strategy, career exploration, personal branding, networking, interview preparation, as well as resume and cover letter writing. So you guys can contact us first by reaching out to our website, which is www.lenorecoaching.com.
You can also contact us via social media. We have Instagram and Facebook pages, Lenore Coaching LLC.
Do you want to do it? Here's the contract. This is what we're going to do, and we're going to move forward with it. And my goal to grow it is to make it a nonprofit. In 3 years from now, I want the Black Athlete Sister Circle as a 501c3 to be able to give scholarships, national mentoring opportunities, to be able to provide career development, maybe from individuals such as yourself, to help athletes be able to promote themselves and get amazing jobs, go to grad school, do what they want. Those systems, yes, they exist in multiple spaces. There are plenty of entrepreneurs doing it, plenty of business, plenty of professionals, but I want to do it in a place that's unapologetically Black, woman, and athlete.
Wow. I don't even have words. When I think about like the vision that you've been able to come to life with BASC, this really started with you personally. And I think a lot of us sort of get discouraged as entrepreneurs or creatives, whatever we have our hands on, is we feel like we can't scale it fast, or if it's not going to be, big and all out in front of people, then what's the use of doing it? But for you, like, your story is great for us to glean from, because you've pursued this patiently and over time, but the vision has always been really strong from what I hear from you. And for just to see it grow, honestly, in the past, 2 years, from 2019 to now, to being from just 1 campus to 4 campuses, and it looks like it's a lot more opportunities in the future. It's just phenomenal. And it's encouraging for me as a creative to think like, hey, no, this might not pop off, in the next 2 months or the next year, right? But you taking those drives up to Harrisonburg. So folks that, are not familiar, Richmond and Harrisonburg, what's that, 2 hours?
2 hours, yeah.
So that ain't a hop, skip, and a jump. That's, you got to invest some time. I'm sure that you were coffeeed up, going up and down 81 and 64 here.
Very much so.
But that just goes to show like the investment, like starting off small, but committing to the process and to kind of actualize that goal. So phenomenal. I love it. So I want to land this plane here, because a huge part of, who you are, obviously, being an entrepreneur, a higher education professional, faculty member, these are things that are sort of out in front. But, I see you personally. I know Camille is, your beautiful princess. Tell people, through motherhood, like, how has this really played a role in your professional career and as an entrepreneur?
Yes, I am a single mom, and that was not the vision I had for my life, right? I start there because motherhood has probably been the greatest test and blessing of my life. So not a lot of people know. So I had Camille a week after I submitted my finals in my first semester, my second year. So I found out I was pregnant at the end of my first year in my doc program. Mind you, I was, making, less than 20,000 at the time annually. All I was a graduate assistant. I was in Indiana, and I mentioned I'm an only child, so my family was in Virginia, and I had this baby girl, and I didn't stop. I wanted to plenty of times. Like, let me be transparent. This has been one of the most arduous tasks, and probably the thing that's gotten the most prayer. So you heard the accomplishments, but you didn't hear me say that I stopped at any point, meaning that I have been a single parent for 9 years while doing all of those things. And there have been some sacrifices and some failures on my part. And so when I had Camille, it was at the end of my semester. She was born in December of 2011. And I went home. I went home for a month, and my parents were amazing. They were like, we want you to graduate. We are willing to keep her here as much as we can. If you want, you can leave her here and we'll raise her. You do school, come in when you can. We'll make it work until you get on your feet. That's why I said my village is important. I would not be where I am without Jonathan and Patricia Ferguson, straight up. And it was because of their willingness that I recognized that I had to win in this area. So I came back in the spring of 2012. I dropped down one class. I was only taking 2 classes, but I had an assistantship that was 20 hours a week, an internship that was 10 to 15 hours a week. I was breastfeeding, and I was traveling for work towards the end of the semester and still doing research and still got a 4.0. I was still, I still was doing all the things because I had been conditioned up until that point, as I've been talking about, to do all the things at the same time. Then my passions didn't end just because this unplanned blessing happened. Now, was I angry during that time? Plenty. Oh my gosh, there was so much emotional and spiritual wrestling that happened in grad school because I can never feel like I could win. I was like, I don't have enough money to do this. My friends are buying homes, they're getting married, I'm still in Indiana, right? And her dad, even though he lived in the state and he was there, I had primary custody. So this is me every day, right? This is my thing. So I had to navigate class and drop off. If I had an overnight trip for work, finding a daycare that had overnight visits. If my parents had to drive 10 hours just to make sure they pick up Camille and give me a break for a week, or they watched her for 2 weeks when I took my qualifying exams, or having my friends in my program babysit. I share this because, again, village is what made me successful and what helped me graduate. And so I made a decision to become a full-time practitioner after I defended my dissertation proposal because I knew that I wanted to give her a better life. She was 2 and about to be 3. And so that's one of the reasons why I got a full-time job. And I also felt like I had exhausted my graduate experience for 6 years. But, when I think about motherhood, it matured me quickly. It helped me to make decisions that were, you talking about purpose-driven life that's on your shirt. Purpose-driven living is what had to become the goal daily, right? I could not lay in bed because somebody needed to be fed, dressed, clothed, and played with and taught. I could not quit my job, even though on principle, it seemed like I could. So I had to learn how to be resilient and to overcome my insecurities. Because a lot of times we're in situations where we blame so many other people. But I realized that if my integrity, if my work performance is not up to par, I'm probably not going to produce good work. They might not value me. I might not like the job, but I control my output, plain and simple. And so I had to learn how I had to be great. I had to achieve, because if I did not, if I failed, she failed. And I refused to have a generation of failure in my life. Neither of my family did that. And so I chose to change that. The imposter syndrome really never has left. I still struggle with it. While I have gotten to the point where I believe in telling my testimony without shame it exemplifies how I have overcome and I have experienced forgiveness and deliverance and forgiveness of self and all the things, and feeling like, wow, I shouldn't be here. This was not the path I wanted for my.
Hey family, it's your boy Quintrell Lenore here with brand new merch to keep you guys looking good this season. We have long sleeve, short sleeve, as well as hoodies. Check us out at gumroad.com/PDL apparel. We got all the swag you need to stay covered in purpose.
Myself, I wanted to be married with all these kids. But you know what? I love my life and I love being a parent. And my daughter is, if that's the greatest thing that I've ever done, hear me, Camille Ferguson will change the world, because I pour everything into her that I possibly can. And I say that because it drives me to go to China. That means that she was here. So my village helped, right? When I went to Thailand, I was pregnant when I was in Thailand, right? I studied abroad pregnant. I found out that I was pregnant before I went to Thailand. I still went. I'm not going to stop my goals. I'm not going to stop achieving because of my child. Sometimes I can prioritize, and other times I have to be the priority. So it's definitely knowing that as long as she's getting a great life, my sacrifice is worth it. But I've learned to stop sacrificing myself as well, because I too matter in this. And so I will be a college president, right? Does that mean that at times I need help? Yes. So at JMU, I was writing my dissertation writing my dissertation while working full time. I had to hire help. So that means I had to come up out of pocket and pay somebody $10 an hour and trust them to pick her up, make dinner, put her in a bed while I stayed at work and worked on my dissertation or was in the library. So I say that to demonstrate that there are plenty of times that I've had to invest in being a parent, whether it's hiring a nanny or a part-time nanny or after school programs or summer school. I've definitely had to bring my daughter to school. She's traveled with me. She's been to conferences. So I had a colleague a couple years ago check me on when I was like, oh, I'm struggling with work-life balance. She said, work-life integration. My daughter shows up on Zoom meetings. She has been in a faculty and staff meeting. She will participate. She has been to class. She has done everything. I am not separate from my role as a mother. And the best part of my parenting has been my understanding that she should be able to show up in the spaces that are most appropriate. So she shows up at leadership meetings. She shows up everywhere, whether it's a speaking engagement that I'm getting paid for, whether it's a class that I have to teach. So, I encourage people who feel like they have a multitude of roles that you're trying to show up and be 100% at. I can never be 100% at anything, even with the greatest of passions, because my life and all the roles that I have taken on and the ones that I'm responsible for require me to be present. And if being present means that my daughter is in my lap because she is not feeling good, but the knowledge still needs to be delivered, it will still happen. And I don't apologize for that, because if you ask for me to show up, or if I choose to do something, I have to show all the way up. My voice is not silenced because of motherhood. It's amplified. And one thing she would tell you is, if you were to ask her, she will tell you, my mom is the interim assistant dean and I'm the junior dean. Mommy, I want to get my doctorate,
That's right?
She's like, she goes between wanting to go to JMU, UVA, and Harvard. She's never been to Harvard. What does she know about Harvard? I tell her about Harvard. She doesn't have to do any of those things. But I have now advanced the generation below me, and my legacy is tied to her success. And so I will say no to things that take me away from her, but I will say yes to opportunities that advance my ability to provide and expose her to different things. And so I'm grateful for motherhood. It has been, from postpartum depression to the imposter syndrome to like just feeling not good at it, I still show up. And she's not gonna remember all the bad stuff, so we good. But I remember it, so I have to forgive myself and overcome my own shame. But yeah, motherhood is what drives me. So if you ever see me doing all of the things, you're like, this girl just presented at 5 places. I know she got like 16 jobs. What is she doing? Camille was probably beside me, or eating dinner and you didn't see her, or she probably waving in the camera, or she's on a plane, or I'm calling a friend to babysit while I'm doing something, right? That is what has to happen. And that integrated lifestyle gives me so much encouragement and excitement and passion to never stop.
Man, that's powerful. I don't even have anything to say after that. It's awesome because Dr. Ferg, like you know me and Lorraine, we met in Harrisonburg. You're the one that got us down here in Richmond, by the way.
Sure did. Take full credit.
And so it's awesome because, like, as a single mother, like, you've encouraged us and challenged us to step up to the plate as parents, because it's 2 of us and it's 1 of you. And so the sort of the model that you set, not as a professional, not just as an entrepreneur, but as a parent, that's is second to none. So I appreciate you. And it's easy for us to think about like our stories, your story in particular, in terms of resiliency, which is definitely a testament of resiliency. But I keep hearing this theme of faith being sort of a foundation and a driver. You getting your affirmation from your family, getting encouraged and built up from your family to continue on in all these areas. And then one nugget that you threw in at the very beginning, with you having Camille, some of us have to do that reality testing. Like, you drop down from taking 2 classes to 1 class. Like, I think folks need to hear that, because the world will tell us, like, all right, just keep trucking along, like, until the wheels literally fall off. But obviously you were resilient, but you did do some reality restructuring in order to be sustained throughout that season. So I think that's important to note as well. So I appreciate just the level of faithfulness, the resiliency, the long endurance throughout all of this, because it is a model. It's a model for all of us. So I appreciate your story. You just dropped.
Hey, what's going on, family? Do not forget to check out the music that inspired the movement, PDL. This project is by yours truly, Quintrell Lenore. It's streaming on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, you name it, go check it out. This project was produced by Dilly Got It Bumpin'. It's awesome music to help you guys stay motivated and to worship in this.
Gems on gems on gems for us, man. I appreciate it.
No, thank you so much.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up here, I want folks to be able to figure out ways that they can connect with you, to consume, your content, your business, your research. Tell us where you can bless us. How can folks get connected and learn more about Dr. Tomika Ferguson?
Yeah, so social media wise, professionally, I'm on Twitter a lot. That's my professional. I'm at Tomiferg, Tomiferg. That's where I really promote a lot of my research. Speaking engagements, I am the owner of Ferguson Education Services, LLC. I do leadership training, anti-racism, inclusion, equity training, strategic planning, leadership development. And so for that, you can email me at tomikaferguson@gmail.com. Website coming soon. Don't have enough time to do all the things, right? And one of the things I'm passionate about is community work, so even if there's something that you need done that doesn't have a budget attached, always ask. You just never know what people will do for you. And as far as research, Google Scholar, that's where you can find research about not only myself, but also a lot of other Black women whose stories parallel mine. Learning about the Black Athlete Sister Circle, learning about the experiences of Black women. One of the things I've been able to do is expand my research into high schools. And so I look forward to producing more. So 2021 will be the year that a lot of things are produced that I've been setting on and diligently working on. So I look forward to sharing that on all of my social media, Facebook, whatever it might be. So I'm really excited to just connect with people and network. And I really thank you for this opportunity because, it's a conversation between friends, but at the same time, the people who are listening, I hope that they're able to see someone who has failed more than she's been successful, and still looking forward to learning from future failures. But I look forward to leading people and really teaching people to love themselves and to love others in the most authentic way possible, even if we don't agree with those people or where they're coming from. That is my goal. So if that's something that you're looking for, hit me up. Let's talk. But again, thank you so much, Quintrell, for this opportunity. It's been such a fun conversation to talk about things I haven't talked about in so long because I've been teaching so much. Everything is so textbook or anti-racist. So it's kind of awesome to just kind of share my testimony and be able to be unapologetic about it and have this integrated way of sharing my story.
Dr. Ferguson, you blessed us. I appreciate you pulling up because Lord knows we fast forward 5-10 years from now, you're going to be sitting next to Michelle Obama somewhere, talking to the world. So
I receive all of that. Okay. I'm going to save this and we're going to come back to it and I'm going to play it. I'm going to say, you spoke
just remember me.
Listen, you know what? You let me know what you need. I will put you on. That would be a real hookup.
Yes, absolutely. Well, listen, Dr. Ferguson, I appreciate you. Appreciate all of you guys that have tuned in. Make sure you catch all episodes of Dr. Tomika Ferguson and check in with her, all her social media and her websites and her research and so forth. So thank you guys. Y'all have a blessed one.
Purpose-driven living, that's the motto. Purpose-driven living, boy, that's the motto. If God orders my steps, then